Hey there, Eco 201 students. We have always a lot of people who are concerned about writing milestones 1, 2, and 3, and of course the final project. So what I've decided to do is just go through one section at a time. I'm going to select a company, Expedia, which I would not let anyone else do. And I'm going to go through and write one section at a time. So in this video, what we're going to do is we are going to write the introduction. So the first thing I encourage you all to do is to use the template that's provided, and that's how we're going to work through this whole thing. So as we're in the class, if you go ahead and scroll to the bottom of the screen, and you will see that there is a final project supplemental resources section for you. And there's a lot of great things in there to help, so I encourage all of you to use that. But what we will be starting with is the Eco 201 Final Paper Guide. So you click on that. And what you can do is click on this little arrow down here to download it so that you'll be able to use it on your own computer. So we will go ahead and open that up. So here we have the final paper guide, and it provides everything in the right font and APA style formatting that you will be using. It's double spaced, so we'll start with the title page. Since I am doing Expedia, I'm just going to say it's a micro. And then, since I am the author, my name, you'll want to type your own, and then the affiliation is just the school. So you can write Southern New Hampshire or SNU or however you want to do that. And then, so the title of the paper again. Microeconomic analysis of Expedia. Then what we are talking about now is the introduction. So using the active voice, there's more detail there. This template is set to go with what you'll need, but it's written in here anyway, just for your reference. So what we're going to do in the introduction is you're going to talk about the purpose of your paper, and that is really what you'll be evaluated on. So why are you writing this paper? And the first place we want to turn to for that is really going back to the site. We'll go back to that home page, and then what you'll find is in the Start Here section, you will find your assignment guidelines and rubrics. And what is there? The final project guidelines and rubric is we want to know why we're writing this paper. So we're going to apply microeconomic models to make effective business decisions. Essentially, and you can read through all of this, but you are an analyst hired by your firm, and you will want to analyze microeconomic conditions to come up with recommendations for your firm. That is the purpose of your paper. Now, how you will inform the conclusion is what you're going to talk about in order to get there. So these various sections of your paper, you're going to talk about the history first, just as part of this introduction. You'll analyze supply and demand conditions for your firm, which includes the trends in demand over time and their impact. So all this thing, you'll walk through all these different critical elements that you'll be addressing, and that is what you want to incorporate into your introduction. So flipping back to that, that's what's really important. You need to describe the purpose of your paper, and that's what you're going to do here. This video that's linked in this document. It provides some good tips on how to write an introduction in general, not specific to this paper. And one of the things you do want to have with that is you want to write a hook, something that brings in your reader. So in terms of Expedia, a good place to start really is on your firm's homepage. And now this is where they're generally selling stuff. So you want to get to their actual corporate information. Usually near the bottom of the page is where you can find that. So click on this About Expedia, and you'll find some interesting things out about your firm. I'm just looking for something interesting right now to draw the reader in to your paper, which it's really geared towards your firm. So something they'll already know, but a positive thing about it. So I'm going to click on the investor section, and here, look, is what they're really pushing about their firm. 2018 is off to a really good start. There's 15% year-over-year growth in revenue, gross booking, and room nights. So that's a good thing, and it sounds interesting, and it sounds like a good introductory sentence to my paper. So what I've gone ahead and done here is created my first first part of the introduction. Expedia Group is off to an excellent start in 2018. Reports from the first quarter show year-over-year growth rates of 15% in revenue, gross bookings, and room nights. So what I have done, though, is I've now used something that I used a source to find, which means I need to go ahead and cite that. I need to include an internal citation as well as a full citation at the end. Also, what I'm doing as I work is I'm removing the template language. You do not want to submit any of the template language as you submit your milestones and final paper, because it'll just cause a higher match score with Turnitin. So just make sure to avoid that. So I want to show you a really great way to come up with your APA citation. I know sometimes citing things make people nervous. So there's this great site, APA citation format. So it's citationmachine.net. And what you can do is I'll go ahead and copy the website that I'm using. So go ahead and put the website in here. You're on APA and it is a website. So what you click then is search websites. And you'll see it here. So select, this is what I want. And they said they couldn't find the publisher and sponsor, the date published, which is normal for a website. So you click on the final step, and then they've got a lot of this stuff for you. Now, what you do need to include still is the date accessed, which is today. We're finding it today. So then we go ahead and create citation. So we just have to watch the sponsors in order to do this. So now I have a citation to use. So you can go ahead back to the Word document, go to the bottom, which is where your reference page will be. And this shows you some other tips about references, but you'll put them alphabetically. So here's the first reference, and then in APA format, our title is Investors Overview, and there's no date. So internal citation looks like how that's done. Now we've got to get on with it and talk about the purpose of our paper. So everything is in here. I've gone ahead and actually just written this up. So as a consultant hired by the Expedia Group, I will be analyzing market and business data in order to make recommendations to ensure Expedia's future success and sustainability in the market. So right there, that's the purpose statement. Then you also, as part of the introduction, need to say how you will inform your conclusion. So this paper will provide a brief overview of the firm before diving into Expedia's demand trends over the last 5 years, supply and demand conditions, and the price elasticity of demand for their products. Okay, that's what I'm talking about in milestone 1 and milestone 2. Then a discussion of the cost of production will follow with an in-depth look at variable costs, fixed costs, and the impact to profitability. The overall market section will include a discussion of market share, barriers to entry, and the market structure for the online travel agency industry, which is the industry that Expedia operates within. That's their market. And finally, recommendations will be made to Expedia based on the findings throughout the paper. So that's what it is. That's what you need to do for the introduction. For an exemplary, I've already gone ahead and used a lot of industry terminology. You'll see I talked about variable costs, fixed costs, those type of things. Well, you don't technically need that for milestone 1. You will need to provide a lot of microeconomic and industry terminology for the final paper in order to earn that bump up from proficient to exemplary. So that's the introduction. That's what we have. Go ahead and take this out. And the other thing is making sure you've already received approval for your company if it wasn't on the pre-approved list. So make sure your company is an appropriate fit. Expedia, I chose it because it is going to be a really challenging one for certain topics, and it is not one I would allow anyone to do, but I will write about it since I know no one will be able to choose this going forward. So that's the introduction. In the next video, we will talk about the history of the company.